Hey everybody. I want to make a video about what it's like being a divorced child. What it's like going through divorce and really seeing it for what it is. Not for just, oh, it's divorced, mom, dad split up. That's it. So I'm going to try and really go into detail. When I was 12 years old, I would think, I remember this moment very, very clear. Other moments I don't remember, but this moment I remember very clearly for some reason. And I was out back, I was on the trampoline, and I was doing back handsprings, back and forth, back and forth. And I remember my dad came outside and said, "Kelly, your mom and I, we're getting divorced." And I just kept doing back handsprings, and I said, "Okay, whatever you want, whatever makes you happy, fine." That's kind of what I said. And then that was it. He turned around and went back inside. And, when you're 12, you don't really know what divorce means. You don't know. All you know is that means your mom and dad are not going to be your mom and dad anymore. It's going to be mom and then dad. It's not mom and dad anymore. So after that happened, I knew my parents were fighting a lot. I would hear them argue all the time. But I was so busy with toys, just going outside, playing, swimming, that I didn't see how bad things were, because I had things to keep me preoccupied, which most kids do. And so I just do remember my mom and dad, they would throw cigarette packs at each other and blame each other for all types of things, and there just wasn't really ever peace in the house. So I thought, well, guess they can't get along. But in my heart I thought, well, why don't they just try, But I didn't know. And I could tell my mom didn't want to get divorced. But that's all I really knew. I was 12 years old. And my brother was 16 or 17. And he was messing around with, teenagers and the wrong crowd. And him and I would always argue too. I mean, we had times we would get along, but we would just argue and be jealous over each other for certain things, and sometimes, but there were good times. But there were a lot of bad times, I remember just having so much anger in the house. Like one time my brother did something wrong and I chased my brother with a beer bottle or a glass bottle. I don't know if it was a beer bottle, it might have been like a cream soda bottle, but I chased him and went to hit my brother on the back with a glass bottle. When I was 12, why? I just remember wanting to hurt him. But then I loved him and we'd play, and it was just, there's so much evil in our house. There's so much anger. And my brother started messing around with people that were into drugs. He started doing drugs and, just always listening to real loud music in the house. And he had this car that was really, really loud, had a muffler. It sounded like a really angry, lawnmower or bumblebee, and it was just obnoxious and loud, and it brought a lot of attention and a lot of anger to people because it was just so loud and obnoxious. And my parents didn't really know, I guess, what was going on with my brother, but there wasn't much discipline in the house. And so I always had friends over. I remember I had some of my girlfriends over. They'd call me on the phone and on the house phone and say, "Can we come over?" And I miss being pure. I wasn't pure then, but I miss having more childlike innocence, and that's what we're growing back into. When you follow Jesus, you're growing back into childlike love. Where you call someone and say, "Hey, you want to come over? Can we come over? Can we play?" So my friends would be over, and we'd go outside, or we'd go swimming, or sometimes my one friend would come over. We would play video games like Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, or Diddy Kong. Not very many video games, but because I wasn't too much into TV, but I did enjoy some video games, and I wish I didn't. Just a waste of life. But anyway, so while I was doing these things, I didn't know what was going on with my parents. I just knew I'd hear them yell all the time, and sometimes they would just yell at each other, and I would just remember just like literally just hiding under my bed, and just laying there. And I don't know if I would pray to God or not, because I didn't really know God, but I would just sit there under my bed. It was like a good spot for me, I felt, I don't know, safe or something. And so when time came and they did, I do remember them throwing like shampoo bottles at each other too. But I remember when the things started to take place and my dad moved out and he got his own place in, we lived in Texas, and he got it just the next town over. And my mom never worked. My mom was a house mom for 20 years. She was a mom. That was her job. And so that's all she knew, All she knew how to be was a mom. Serve, prepare, clean, cook, cater. That's a lot of work. And so when my dad moved out, he wanted everything, basically. And I guess the divorce agreement was really corrupt, and supposedly my mom's lawyer was actually my dad's lawyer too, and he was working for my dad and was really just screwing my mom over. And I may be making mistakes by saying things I don't exactly know, but I'm pretty sure that my mom didn't really receive anything. But I think my dad gave her the house, but there was a $1,500 payment for the house. We lived in a big house in a rich neighborhood, and it cost a lot of money to live there. And so my mom was thankful to have the house, and he gave her the car, the one Tahoe. But my mom didn't have a job, so she could not afford to pay for gas in the car payments, the insurance, the house, all that. It was just dropped upon my mom. and she went out and like tried to find a job. And she couldn't find a job for a while, and then my mom ended up meeting this guy, and he moved in literally like, I don't know, maybe a week after or a month after, probably a month after, I don't know for sure, and moved in with us. And he was a drunkard, and I just remember trying to have fun and do handstands and stuff in the house, and I just remember him being drunk all the time, and then sometimes I'd see like neck bruises on my mom's neck from her being strangled, and I didn't know why this guy lived in our house, or where he came from. But, you're 12, you just kind of accept things. You're just like, you love people. You're like, okay, this guy lives in our house. And my mom was broken and lonely, and he just showed up, and so it was just kind of like the same thing over again. I hear them yelling, screaming at each other, and I would see my dad rarely. I would see my dad maybe go to his house every now and then. It's all very vague, really. But I would go to his house and just kind of sit there and be at Dad's house, and it was weird. I didn't know why Mom and Dad had two different houses, and my brother was, I think he was in like juvie. He went to juvie for a little bit, young kid prison or whatever, and so he was gone for a while, but then he got out, and then we went to court because it wasn't finalized yet. My mom and dad had to take us to court, and I remember having to go before this judge, and they took me in the back, and they sat me down, and they're like, okay, Kelly, who do you want to live with? And it's like, when you're 12 years old and you're a child, you don't want to have to choose between your mom and your dad. You don't want to have to choose. Do you know how hard that is? And how wrong? And how it's so hard on a kid, to pick over your mom or your dad when you love them equally and you just don't know what to do. You don't know who to pick. And, you think you pick your mom because you just don't know. And I was closer with my mom, so my brother and I, we both said we wanted to live with my mom, and we did. So we lived with her and stayed with her, but she couldn't afford anything. She couldn't just go back into the world and get a job when we were at home and leave us there and take us to school. She couldn't just do all those things. Family's not supposed to separate. Family means together. And so we ended up having to move from the house because the electricity went out. We couldn't afford electricity, so we would just have candles lit. And I just remember playing card games with the candles on. Rummy. We played like Rummy 5000 or something, and we would just play card games. And you don't really even understand when you're a kid. The lights aren't on. You don't realize things. And when you're a kid, you don't see them how bad they are. Wow. I guess that's what it means to have childlike faith. You can be going through something terrible, but you're still joyful because you don't even recognize how terrible it really is, because it's not terrible compared to some things, when you're in love. And so my mom started to get involved with drugs as well. So then we all got in the truck, the Tahoe, and we were all trying to find a place to live. And my mom could barely even get me to school because there was no gas in the car. And I remember going to school with like this. I remember wearing this one same outfit. I had clothes, but I always wore this one same outfit, I guess because it was comfortable and it was warm. And I just remember, like, a lot of my friends, they knew what was going on in my life. And a lot of my friends wouldn't talk to me. It was weird. It's like, there was this one friend, and she was my best friend. And I remember, like, trying to go talk to her, and she would, like, just, like, kind of just look at me and be like, mm-hmm, but turn around and kind of, like, roll her eyes, like, just change, you know? I don't know. And so, my mom, and my brother and I, he was out of the juvie, and we all moved to this place, this tiny little house, and my mom could afford it for a little bit, and that guy came with us, the one that beat her and strangled her, and he was living there too. And I just remember that living there, we didn't really have anything in the house yet, but I remember having a bed and going to school and coming home, and I just remembered so much craziness would happen at the house. Like, I'd come home and it just, my brother worked at Big Lots, and he would bring home tons of boxes of cereal, and that's pretty much what we lived off of. And we didn't have much food in the house, but cereal, well, that was good. And so my brother was getting heavy into drugs, chaos, just sin, basically, you know, and hanging out with partiers and just being reckless, you know. We grew up without discipline or being taught what sin was. So, and I believe it's because my brother didn't really receive the love he needed, you know, especially from our father. And so in the house, there would be times I'd come home from school, or my mom would pick me up, and there would just be my brother's friends all over the place. And there would just be blasting, like, loud music with bass and, you know, techno, and there would be, like, black lights on everywhere, and just all kinds of noise and writing all over the walls in my brother's room. And he'd just always be in and out of the house, you know, always getting tickets and in trouble. And there would be so many loud noises in the house, and the electricity went out again, that I was always hiding under my bed at this house. I just remember always hiding under my bed with my cat whiskers, and I would just sit there. I was always trying to hide because I didn't understand anything that was going on. And my mom was struggling, you know, she didn't have any money. She was stuck with wrong people trying to take advantage of her, hurt her. She could hardly get on her feet because of, you know, not just the people around her, but her own too. And I remember my brother, like, was doing a bunch of drugs in the house, and was stealing my mom's pharmaceutical drugs and hiding them under his bed. And I remember my brother gave my mom ecstasy, and everybody was just on ecstasy, and everything was weird, and I just don't really remember much, but I just remember always hiding under my bed. And my mom said, I can't, my mom was trying to get a job at Subway, and that could barely afford anything. She couldn't afford to take me to school. I don't know if I kind of stopped going to school, and then my brother was getting in so much trouble. He was getting in so much trouble because there's so much evil in our household. All of our evil, which is not in just our household, is probably in yours. He drove his little car around, and he got, like, I don't know, so many tickets in one day, like 20 tickets in one day, or maybe 10. running traffic lights, running stop signs, and then there were just always so many parties at our house. And it was just always so loud. And I remember one time, like, looking out, my brother, I remember he put the trampoline in the front yard and just started playing on it. And I remember one night, my brother had a party, and it was really loud, and all these cops showed up to the house, but they were hiding in all the neighbors' bushes. They were hiding across the street in neighbors' bushes with, like, guns. And I remember, like, everyone was flushing drugs down the toilet, and then that was really all I remember. And then I think that my brother and them left and they followed him or something. But he never got caught for that, but then he did end up getting arrested and going to jail for a while. And then my mom just realized that she knew she couldn't take care of me. She knew it was not stable. So then my mom called when I was 13, my dad, to pick me up. And divorce is so screwed up, y'all. My mom did the right thing. She couldn't give me a good life. She couldn't provide for me because the divorce ruined everything. So my dad picked me up and he said, "Kelly, I'm moving to Ohio in a couple weeks. You have to go with me." And I'm just like, okay. So I just moved to Ohio and I had to leave all my friends, the friends that I did have, and just start over, start a new life and just leave my mom. I had to just leave my mom. I don't even know. She was struggling. My mom didn't need to be left alone. She needed help. We all needed help. Not to just be separated and dragged around just because for a better job or because you can't handle your wife or husband. It's just so corrupting. Divorce is so painful. People don't realize what they're doing to their children, to their family, to themselves. They don't realize it. And they may not ever realize it. They might not ever realize the real pain that God feels when his ways are destroyed, when God's heart is denied and his ways are destroyed. And people hurt. God hurts whenever people hurt. And so I moved and I talked to my mom for like maybe a month or two, but then I lost contact with her because she couldn't afford a phone. She couldn't afford anything. And so I lost contact with her. He's still answering my prayers. I just prayed. I kept a journal. I wish I wouldn't have thrown it away. I'd like to read some of them, but out of impulse, I threw them away. Really stupid. And growing up as a female, living with my dad, just me and my dad, it was really rough. I didn't learn motherly, womanly things. And I living with a man, and I didn't even receive fatherly affection. Like, I don't even know exactly how a father is supposed to treat a child with affection and love and hugs and kisses and tell their daughter how beautiful they are and, hug them all the time. I don't really know what that feeling is. Maybe you don't either. But I believe that God intended for a father to be super intimate and affectionate with their children. Like, I don't think I ever curled up with my daddy and like curled up with him and cuddled my dad and like laid with him and just loved him. or even my mom, just cuddled up next to my mom. That affection was never in our family. We didn't know true affection or intimacy. Most families don't. What is true affection? What is intimacy? Can you imagine like getting the urge to just want to curl up in your mom's arms? I've never felt that urge until actually today. Today I just like felt, I just want to cuddle up in my mom's arms. And I asked God to make sure that I wasn't putting her before him, because I want to be cuddled in Jesus' arms. But I think he's allowing me to like long for the affection for a mother. Or long for affection in any way. Our affection needs to come from God first. But it should be normal for a child to love being cuddled in their mom's arms or daddy's arms or hugged. There's this little girl I know, and she always says, "Can I hug you?" And I said, "Yeah." And when she hugs me, like, I can tell she means it, but I don't really feel the affection because I don't know exactly what a real hug is supposed to feel like. And she's like, "I just love giving hugs." And I'm like, wow. Jesus, I believe, is a roaring lion. But I believe there's such like a genuine, soft intimacy that he has and wants us to have. Like, I don't know, I haven't prayed about this, but I believe that God's intimacy could be so pure. I believe that he would want us to just hug people and love people, and sometimes we can't because of impure thoughts and wrong motives and stuff. But can you imagine looking into the eyes of God, like just like looking into the eyes of Jesus Christ? Like, his heart is so meek and lowly. It's hard for me to even imagine looking into somebody's eyes so pure and feel so pure, and he just feels all of our pain. That's why he came to earth. He didn't come as an angel. He didn't come as a dog. He didn't come as a tree. He came as a human being so he could feel our humanness, to experience our pain and our sufferings and everything. And he bore all of our pain on him. That's a lot of pain. And so I just really believe that God wants us to have such a deep intimacy in life with him first. With him first, intimacy that, I'm going to be honest, like, I struggle with, and I absolutely hate it. I absolutely hate that I have a hard time just being open with Jesus and talking to him and being intimate. That word, I don't think I ever said that word, intimate, until maybe like a year ago. There's so many words I never said until I met Jesus. I never said bondage. I don't think I hardly ever said slave or perseverance or endurance or intimacy or long suffering. Like, those words I had to look up. I didn't even know what they meant, and those are beautiful words, and God's heart is forgiving. He's about unity. I mean, when he came to earth, he said, "I came to bring division," and that's only because people aren't going to believe in him. But if everyone really understood his love, we would be in unity. And That's what he wants, you know, us to be in complete union with him. But it's just so painful. If you're thinking about divorce, you know, don't do it. Please. I mean, there could be different reasons. Your husband may be beating you and hurting you. And of course, God wouldn't want you to stay in a relationship where you can die. But he's not for divorce. You know, he would want somebody to separate and have a safe dwelling fast, and hopes that their prayer and faster, God will really work on him and that person repents. And if not, you know, till death do us part. When he passes, you can remarry, you know. But it's so hard on the kids. It's so hard on everybody. Separation, it feels terrible, you know. Family is a beautiful thing, and it's amazing. So when my family, well, when I was living with my dad, as I said in my other video, my dad was always working. You know, he thought that the way to provide for children was to work, and that's not true. The way to provide for a family is to be there for them, and that involves time, spending time with them, spending love on them, not just working to buy them toys and to buy them this and to buy them that and to have a huge house. Of course the father needs to work, but more important, the father needs to be a father and be home, not gone for weeks at a time, not gone for months at a time, but come home and show their children that he loves their wife, their mother, or his wife and their mother. And same with a wife. A wife needs to show their children what it means to be a mother and a wife, and how to love her husband and forgive, teach forgiveness. And it's all about overcoming sins, you know, dealing with our own sins. If you're jealous of your wife and you can't let her go out because you're jealous and you think she's going to be with men, then you have jealousy in your heart. Take that back to Jesus and get it cleansed. Get it out. Have him remove it. Repent, because you don't want that in your heart. You want to be free and let your wife go to Walmart without you listening to thoughts that make you think she's cheating on you. You know, they're all lies. Trust, you know, no family will ever stay together in truth. I'm not even meaning, you know, they'll divorce. They may not divorce, but I mean no family will be real or true if Jesus is not the foundation. His love is what life and self was built on, him. So when you build a friendship or relationship on love, on Jesus, it's going to be love. There will be trials, there will be tribulations, there will be pain, maybe arguments, but it's about overcoming them and forgiving and loving. If you're a family, spend time with your children. And I don't mean play video games with them. I don't mean sit and watch movies with them or buy toys with them. I mean spend time with your children. Teach your daughter how to cook. Teach your son how to weld. Build tree forts. Play in the mud with your son. Don't just teach him how to drive fast cars and teach him how to work on computers so that he can just make good money. Spend time, quality time with your son. Cherish him, love him, hug him, tell him how much you love him every day. Hug him. Kiss him goodnight. Don't go to bed without hugging him. Don't wake up in the morning without cherishing him. Love your children. Love each other. Love God and all we will love. Spend time with your daughter teaching her how to be a woman. You know, one lie that's such a big lie in this world is, and it's because of fear, everyone lives in fear, is that when a child asks, Mommy, where do babies come from? And people lie and tell them the stork story. You know, don't start lying to your children. It starts at a young age when parents lie to their children because they're afraid to tell them the truth. Tell your children the truth. Don't lie to your kids. Don't lie to your kids. Don't lie to your kids about Christmas and say that Santa comes down the chimney when he doesn't. Don't lie to your kids. It's not fun and just a fairy tale. It's called lies, and it's not fun. Any small lie, fairy tale, is a black lie in the eyes of God. Don't lie to your kids about an Easter bunny. Don't lie to your kids about the tooth fairy. Don't lie to your kids about anything. Anything. Tell them the truth. Don't live in fear. Whatever questions they ask you, be prepared and know the answer. In truth. If you don't know the answer, go pray. Find the answer. Ask Jesus for the answer. Just stop lying to your kids. It's a serious matter. Just make sure your family's built on truth. A fairy